Yeah.
Hi, my name is Christopher Cameron, and this is my presentation on the regional differences in Kenyan cuisine. So we're going to start with a brief overview of the history of food in Kenya. The first settlers to arrive were Portuguese in the year 1946. They brought with them many food crops, including corn, sweet potatoes, and cassava, which are staples in the Kenyan diet today. Pastoralism is deep-rooted within Kenya's history due to the tribal nature of the populations of Kenya. These animals could bring nutrition and calories with them for many miles and also be eaten themselves. Kenya was actually a British colony between the years of 1901 and 1960. The English introduced white potatoes, cucumbers, and tomatoes throughout this period. So this is a map of Kenya. You can see here the capital city of Nairobi. I would like you to notice the amount of national parks and wildlife reserves that Kenya has, as well as the diverse geography of Kenya. So Kenya has coastal regions, which would be considered tropical, and it's going to have deserts in the west as well as mountains to the north. It is bordered to the east by the Indian Ocean, with Uganda on its western border, as well as Ethiopia to the north and Tanzania to the south. So the rainiest seasons are going to be between March and June. There will be some shorter intermittent rains between October and December, but it's mostly dry outside of March and June. There has been an ongoing drought for a very long time, spanning decades. In Kenya, there was a very severe drought between the years of 2008 and 2010. That was named the Kenyan drought, and more than 10 million people were at risk for starvation, and at least 10 million people suffered from malnutrition. So these are some photos here showing the diverse wildlife in Kenya. We can see the Cape buffalo here as well as some acacia trees. And we can see just how close, Kenya is to its wildlife. There are giraffe, roaming just outside of most of the cities and villages. So Kenyan cuisine is extremely unique, and that due to its very special, population situation, they all prepare foods very similarly, but they're going to be different between the tribes. Ugali, however, is something eaten universally. It's paired with meat, vegetables. It can be paired with fish. Most of the vegetables in Kenyan cooking are going to be tomatoes, cabbage, and peas. They can also eat spinach, carrots, broccoli, and kale as well if that's grown. Kenyan cuisine was heavily influenced by the trade routes. So lots of Arab, Indian, and Portuguese spices and flavors are going to be present in that cooking. We're going to see spices like garlic, ginger, black pepper, cinnamon, cumin, nutmeg, cloves, and chilies. Most meats and vegetables will be cooked together in a pot over a fire in a like stew fashion, and it will be served with rice or ugali. So ugali is made by taking flours or grains that are ground and then proportionally mixed with boiling or hot water to make a sort of dough that is eaten by hand. Typically, it's going to be made with wheat, cassava, millet, or sorghum. On the left, we're going to have corn ugali. In the middle, we're going to have a cassava ugali. And then on the right, there is a millet and sorghum ugali. I want to highlight the differences between coastal cuisine and the inland cuisine. So first, we're going to cover coastal cuisine. Many of the dishes are cooked in one pot in a pillau style or a pilaf, as we call it, but in Africa is called a pillau. Swahili cooking is also from the Kenyan coast. And due to the presence of coconuts, many of the dishes have fresh coconut or cooked in coconut milk. The origination from coconut rice is in Kenya, as well as they serve a lot of coconut milk-based curries. In the coast, a lot of fish stews and curries are going to be popular. Um, or fish can be skewered and roasted over an open flame or baked in an oven. So that is going on the top left is going to be a Swahili beef pillow. Below that is Swahili beef kebabs. On the top right, we have a fish curry and coconut rice. And on the bottom right is a traditional chapati, which is a flatbread served with stewed beans. Inland Kenyan populations are going to eat much more game meats. They might eat more beef. They're going to eat a lot more goat, served more with stewed grains. Less of the fish. Typically, there aren't as many bodies of water in central Kenya. Oftentimes, it'll start with a light tomato base. Bananas and plantains are used a lot in inland cooking as well. So on the left, we have Kenyan beans and corn. And on the right, we are going to have stewed beef, as well as a cassava ugali, paired with collard greens, or in Kenya, it is called sukuma wiki. I would also like to talk about how the agriculture has supported Kenya's economy. Um, Most of Kenya's exports include things like tea and coffee, horticulture products, as well as flowers, and many animal hides as well. Most of those things are also food crops that are used within Kenya itself and eaten domestically. The main food crops in Kenya is going to include things like beans and other legumes. Sugarcane is grown in Kenya, lots of wheat, banana, plantains, lots of rice, cassava, and potatoes, sorghum and millet are grown in Kenya as well. So this is a tea plantation in Carico, just to show you the vastness of the plantations in Kenya. Over 50 countries actually import tea from Kenya, and Kenya alone accounts for 10% of the global tea population. With most of the country identifying as Christian, there aren't many dietary restrictions, or throughout history, there haven't been many religious dietary restrictions. However, I would like to identify some of the meal patterns. In Kenya, typically breakfast is eaten a little bit later, around 10 a.m. It's going to be a bread or like a stewed grain with chai tea. Lunch will be eaten at 4 p.m. Sometimes in America, when some people eat dinner, is 4 p.m. And that's going to be lunch in Kenya is at 4 p.m. This is served with chai tea as well, and it'll be ugali with vegetables and stewed meat. Later on in the evening, around 7 p.m., dinner is going to be served. This is going to be the biggest meal of the day. This can be a combination of grilled meats and vegetables and sauces and ugali. This is like a meal that is eaten together as a family as well, and takes more effort to prepare. Tea is extremely important to Kenyan culture. Throughout its time as a colony in Britain, as a British colony, as well as getting chai tea from India during the trade. Chai tea is a sweet tea that people drink in the morning time as well as the evening time. And it is typically paired with a samosa, as well as chips, or French fries, as we would call them, and sweet fried dough. Thank you. That was my presentation on the differences in Kenyan food cuisine between inland and coastal populations. Thank you.